Functions are yet another operational option that you have when working with Transact SQL. And so in this video and in the next two or three, we're going to take a look at some functions, some examples of functions, and help you kind of get your head around this concept and learn something else that you can kind of throw into your development toolbox, if you will. So let's start off with a simple question. What exactly is a function? Well, a function is nothing more than encapsulated, reusable logic. We can throw a parameter at a function. It will perform an action based on that parameter or using that parameter, and then it will return a result. This is just like a function in any programming out there, like in C#, C++, and all that. We pass a parameter to a function, we call it, it takes the parameter in, it performs an action based on whatever that parameter brings in, and then it returns a result back out. Now, SQL Server 2012 has two main types of functions that we can utilize. The first are the very easy, straightforward ones, the built-in system functions. We've already worked with some of these. These are things like average, count, sum. And when we work with stored procedures, you saw a look at using the month function to strip the month out of a date. We used year out there to strip the year out of the date. So all those are built-in system functions. What we're really focusing on here over the next few videos are what's called UDFs, or user-defined functions. These are functions we can create and then utilize to do whatever we want to. Now, functions can return data in two forms in SQL Server 2012. Scalar values, which means it returns a single value back to whoever called the function, or tables. And this is also called a table-valued user-defined function, or a table-valued UDF. So we can either get single values back or entire tables. And when we get tables back, it returns the data in a table structure, and we can actually use that in the from clause of a query just as if it's a table itself. And I'll actually show you an example of that later on as we move through these. Now, there's some terminologies and some nomenclature that you need to watch about functions, both in the real world and could be on the exam. A table-valued user-defined function that has a single line of code in it is called an inline table UDF. A table-valued UDF with multiple lines of code is called a multi-statement table-valued UDF. Now, that sounds like some sort of device you'd see in a child's Saturday morning cartoon, but a multi-statement table-valued UDF just is a UDF. It's table value that has multiple lines of code in it. So just watch for those two things. Now, there are a few things that you cannot do in user-defined functions. These things are powerful, but they're not as efficient as stored procedures, number one. And they're not quite as powerful. I can't apply any kind of schema or data changes in the database using a UDF. I can't create or access temp tables using UDFs. I can't call a stored procedure with a user-defined function, and I cannot execute dynamic SQL. Now, we haven't talked about dynamic SQL yet. We'll get to that later on in the course as well. So anyway, that's the basics of working with functions. And over the next, 2 or 3 videos, we're going to take a look at some examples of these various functions and play with them and show you some code that'll help you understand exactly what the differences are and what you can do with them.